So in last lecture we discussed with the syllabus of cell biology and molecular biology, and we have started the topic that is the cell as a structural and functional unit of life. Now we got an idea that cell is the smallest basic unit of life, and that is responsible for the all life processes which takes place in a organism, or we can say in a smaller organism also. So cells are structural and functional unit of all living beings or living things. So when we talk about the history of a cell, we must focus on cell biology. So cell biology is the study of cells from its basic structure to its function. So before going to look at the function, it is necessary to understand the structure of the cell. So in this particular parameter, when we talk about the history, Robert Hooke was the first who discovered the cell. Now, as we talk about cell, all organisms are made up of cells, whether they are multicellular or unicellular organism. Everybody is having a cell. So, in a unicellular organism, simply we can say that the single cell is present, whereas in a multicellular organism, the number of cell is more depending on the size and depending on the function of that particular organ and organism. They may be made up of single cell or many cells, as we call them unicell or multicellular. For example, mycoplasma. Mycoplasmas are the smallest known cell on the earth. Along with that mycoplasma, we can say bacteria is there, then cyanobacteria is there. So these are some examples which we call them as a unicellular organism. Now cells are building blocks of all living things or all living beings. As we know that, suppose we take example of a multicellular organism. This multicellular organism is having the addition of organs, and these organs are made up of cells at its basic level. So that's why cells are known as the building blocks of all living beings. They provide a structure to the body and convert the nutrients taken from the body into energy. So this is why we call the cell as a structural and functional unit of the life. Now why? Because it provides a structure. Simply say it provides shape to the organ or to the organism. Now for example, when we talk about a mango, definitely we got that mango is having a particular shape. So this particular shape is due to the cells which comes as a structural unit of that particular mango fruit. Now when we talk about the nutrients, as everybody know that the nutrients are the most important requirement for the living things. So living things or living organisms consume food, and that food is converted into energy by the function of cell. So simply structure of cell and function of cell, these are the two most important things which is to be studied in the cell biology. Now cells are complex and their components perform various functions in an organism. Now where these cells are complex, particularly in a multicellular organism, cells are complex, and these complex cells perform the function of that particular organism. They are of different shape and sizes. So sometimes it is circular, semicircular, oval shape, or we can say it is having pentagon like structure. So depending on the organism, the shape and the size of that particular cell will change. For example, our body is made up of cell of different shape and size. So depending on the organ also, the size and shape of the cell will vary. Cells are the lowest level of organization in every life, and that's why they are known as the structural unit of life. From organism to organism, the count of cell may vary. It may be a single cell, it may be a multi-cell, or having the more than this single cell we called multicellular organism also. Human have more number of cell as compared to bacteria and fungi. So simply the simplicity of organism is simply measured with the number of cells. The complexity of the cell leads to a complex organism. Cell comprises of several cell organelles that perform specialized function to carry out a process, or we called it as a life processes. So every cell performs some particular function, and that in all we called it as a metabolism. The hereditary material, that is DNA, or in some we can say RNA of organism, is also present in the cell. So cell is the most important unit which carries the genetic material with them also. So this is nothing but the cell which is having the particular involvement of the different things. So here we stop with this discussion, that is characteristics of the cell. In upcoming lecture we are going to move for the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell, difference between this eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell, what are included in prokaryotic cell, what are included in eukaryotic cell. All these points we can discuss in upcoming lecture.